Good evening, all of you. Yesterday, we were discussing about some of the traits, some of the facts. Now, since we have already done a lot of things in the geographical thought and advances in geographical thought, some of the points, some of the things were remaining. And also, there are students who are having certain doubts in the process. For example, there are so many thoughts which are present over here that it is becoming very difficult to them to segregate. तो आपको क्या करना है? आप कैसे लर्न करना है? I'm telling you the trick. 1940s तक तो आपका क्वांटिटेटिव रेवोल्यूशन रहा है, राइट? एंड उसको काउंटर करने के लिए यू हैड अनदर रेवोल्यूशन व्हिच यू कॉल इट एज क्रिटिकल रेवोल्यूशन व्हिच स्टार्टेड इन 1970s. It started in 1970s. और ये critical revolution is very prominent. Why? Because it gives us an idea that it is not merely possible for all the people to quantify everything. Quantification से आप नहीं express कर सकते. Can you express the emotions through quantification? No. There has to be a particular way. There has to be a particular process. So quantification, quantifying cannot be done. But yes, you can approach it in a different way. For example, you can do social geography, for example, if I'm talking about. So in the social geography, you have to discuss the relationship between, I was expecting you, I was just thinking, that I just started the lecture and then you will miss it out. Don't worry, settle down. Okay, so today we'll also discuss the dichotomy and dualism. Okay, as per your demand, you all were saying that वो part नहीं हुआ है. Okay, so I was just trying to bring this process very simple. Okay, so when I'm talking about the quantitative geography, when I'm talking about the critical revolution, what is the difference? Quantitative revolution में क्या था? That people wanted to talk about the numbers, but this topic, critical revolution, got what? Separate in sense. Critical revolution में you have to tell that what is the relationship which has been formed between the humans and the nature, between the humans and the environment, and it is not possible to express it through the numbers itself, because numbers are not telling you a lot of factors. For example, अगर मैं Marxist geography में, we have seen that there are other elements also which are playing the key role. कौन-कौन से elements हैं? For example, capitalism, power, social structure, class structure, class relations, all of them play a very, very key and huge role in it. Class structure, class relation, capitalism, social structure, ये सब कुछ क्या play करता है? बहुत ही बड़ा role play करता है in all the categories. And when I'm talking about all of these, so capitalism is also under what? Power influence. That is also playing the key role. So all the decisions which have been taken by the people is not independent. This is coming from certain kind of influence. आप influence हो रहे हैं, either through because you are in the power, maybe because you want something, maybe you have the vested interest, you have the economic interest, because capital is about what? Maximization of profit. When you have the maximization of profit in mind, you will take the decisions accordingly and you will not try to think independently. जब आप independently नहीं सोच पाएंगे तो क्या होगा? There will be an issue. क्या issue होगा? क्या issue होगा उस केस में? That आप independently नहीं सोच पा रहे. क्यों? Because आपके पास इतनी सारी चीजें influence करने के लिए. ये आ गया आपका मार्क्सिस्ट ज्योग्राफी. इसी में हमें डिस्कस किया था रेडिकल ज्योग्राफी क्या है आपका? अगेन पावर इन्फ्लुएंस एक्सेट्रा. बट रेडिकल ज्योग्राफी में बाकी चीजें भी आ जाती हैं. It is not about just the social structures or the class relations. It is much more. Radical geography में you have the inequality, and inequality not with respect to the workers and the entrepreneurs or the what do you call it that as? There is a bourgeois class also, and the other one is your what? The owners, right? So the proletariats. So right, bourgeois and proletariat. So both of them were what? वहां पे सिर्फ मार्क्सिस्ट का ये आपका क्लास, यहाँ रेडिकल में there is a inequality on the basis of various factors, maybe because there is a resource crunch in a particular country, there is a political instability in the country, or maybe the structure of the government structure of the country, or the form of the government in the country is not such, it's not like that you can practice the freedom. For example, in Middle East, you cannot practice so much of freedom, right? So in certain aspects I'm talking about, for particularly for the women, so these are certain things that you have to focus on. ठीक है, अब क्या है, अब आपको थोड़ा सा ये भी डिस्कस करना है, you have to see the things in a very independent manner, right? What independent manner you have to see the things? देखिए, जब आप critical revolution की बात करेंगे तो रेडिकल ज्योग्राफी भी होगा उसमें, आपका सोशल ज्योग्राफी भी होगा, वेलफेयर ज्योग्राफी क्या बोलते हैं, व्हाट डज द वेलफेयर ज्योग्राफी सेज, कल ही हमने डिस्कस किया है, एंड हु इज अ प्रोपोनेंट ऑफ इट, डेविड एम स्मिथ, रिमेंबर डेविड एम स्मिथ इज अ proponent of geography. Of which geography? What kind of geography? Welfare geography. David Harvey is a proponent of Marxist geography, radical geography. ठीक है, Doreen and Messi is another. So what is the welfare geography? क्या था? What is the key point in the welfare geography? बताइए. And ये पूरा बताइए, otherwise you will get confused. Tell the exact meaning of the geography, welfare geography. सोशल वेल, वेरी गुड, बताइए. सोशल वेलबींग, क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ, एजुकेशन, स्पेशल जस्टिस, स्पेशल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वेल्थ, हाँ, yes, resources, all of these are what? This is known as welfare geography. So welfare geography क्या है? It is consisting of all the points. अब जरूरी नहीं है because the country is performing very well in its GDP, the people of that country is all quite happy. It's not necessary. For example, yesterday I've given the classic example wherein in the American Revolution, while this revolution was going on, there was a book which is written by which geographer? Tell me the name. What is the name of the geographer that you have written? He has written an account on the American geography, on the account of the American Revolution at that point of time, where he discussed that the Americans are not happy because just because their GDP is highest in the world, that doesn't mean the people living there are also happy over there. Right? Have you written that? हाँ, क्या लिखा था डीएम स्मिथ में? Yes. So he has written an account. क्यों लिखा उन्होंने account? Why it was important? So there was a movement of welfare approach which was happening. If you want to add on, if you have not written this point, so you can write a movement. नहीं लिखा आपने? तो लिख लीजिए. Please add on in the welfare geography. There is something additional I want to add on in that. लिखिए. A movement towards a welfare approach in contemporary human geography. A movement towards the welfare approach. A movement towards the welfare approach in the contemporary human geography was heralded by, or started by, you can keep a very simple language, started by D.M. Smith and P.L. Knox. 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 Smith's work, write down Smith's work, The Geography of Social Well-being. स्मिथ का वर्क क्या था? The Geography of Social Well-being. The Geography of Social Well-being in the United States. In the United States, 1973. The movement towards a welfare approach in the contemporary human geography was in fact started by D.M. Smith and P.L. Knox. D.M. Smith has given a detailed account on the geography of social well-being in the United States in 1973. And it was prepared in the light of American social indication movement. It was started in the light of American social indication movement. It's a kind of a revolution which was taking place. We can call it a small type of a revolution, not completely, but yes, don't mistaken it with the American Revolution which happened in the world history. I'm not talking about that. Please, to be very clear. So it is American social indication movement. Social indication movement. What do you understand by that? That the people are not happy because they are not provided the quality. When the quality is not given, the numbers cannot do the justification. Why? Because आप सिर्फ इतना बोलेंगे my economy is doing the best in the world and we are growing at such rate exponentially, we are rising in the revenue numbers. That doesn't yes, it does not take into account the social well-being, that how happy or well served people are in the country. Okay, so what is there? The geography of social well-being in the United States was prepared in the light of American social indication movement and the growing belief there that gross national product and the growing belief there that and the growing belief there that and the growing belief there that the gross national product and national income and the growing belief there that the gross national product and I hope you understand what GDP is and national income. What is the national income? Per capita income of India. National income, first complete that, is not the direct measure, is not the direct measure of the quality of life in its broader sense. Direct is not the direct measure of quality of life in direct sense. अब आप मुझे एक चीज बताइए, क्यों नहीं है? Why? Because these are showing the numbers, these are not showing that how people are being served in the country, how happy they are, what kind of quality of life they are living. In fact, there is a country called Bhutan who is much happier than the developed countries which are performing so well in the GDP. Why? Because when you are serving the people what they actually want, what do you want from the life? You want basic amenities, you want a certain sort of a freedom, you want security. Yes, you want education, you want security. When all has been given in an apt amount in the country is definitely they will try to proliferate. Why? Because when their happiness index is so high, definitely what will happen then? They will outperform. So similarly, in the Scandinavian countries, if you see, in the happiness index, Finland and Scandinavian countries are always taking the highest ranks. Why they are taking the upper ranks? Because they have invested in that in such a way that they have taken every citizen as their child. They not, if you see the movies also with this in the of Norway, of countries, I mean the movies which are basically from the Norway, you will see all of these. They show that how they treat their citizens. They literally treat their citizens as their children, as their asset. By the way, human resources is also one of the very critical assets. We are all are an asset for the country, right? That's why they said the youth population should be more, because youth population is an asset for the country. The old population is, they are considered as liability because they cannot work in that efficient manner as a youth population can. So these are what your demographic dividends. Okay, तो डेमोग्राफी अगर किसी का चेंज हो जाएगा तो दे वोंट बी एबल टू परफॉर्म वेल. ऑल्दो सब कुछ सही है, जापान में क्या है, सब कुछ सही है, सब कुछ बढ़िया है, बट द पॉइंट देयर इज दैट द एजिंग पॉपुलेशन क्या है, बहुत ज्यादा है, तो गवर्नमेंट को उतना लाइबिलिटी है उनके ऊपर. क्यों? बिकॉज दे हैव टू सर्व देम. उनको एक्स्ट्रा केयर में, दे हैव टू गिव द पेंशन, दे हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ देम. So all of that revenue will go into that, and the input they'll be getting from the youth population is quite less as compared to them. That's why they are inviting the people from outside the country, outside of their country, to come and work there, right? So these are kind of a problems countries faces when the demographic dividends get changed, right? They are not distributed in an uneven manner, in an even manner. So these are the situations which arises. So now you don't have to get confused, because a lot of geography thoughts we have done. So keep it very clear in your mind whenever if you are writing also. You should know the background. पहले आपको बैकग्राउंड पता होना चाहिए, तो आपको इजीली समझ आ जाएगा कि मैं क्या बताना चाह रहे हैं या फिर स्कॉलर क्या बात करना चाह रहा है. जैसे एक कॉन्सेप्ट हम बात कर ले, छोटा सा बात कर ले, जो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकता है. इसमें कॉन्सेप्ट आता है सोशल प्रोडक्शन ऑफ नेचर. उसको सिर्फ समझ लीजिए, लिखिए मत. सोशल प्रोडक्शन ऑफ नेचर क्या कहता है? इट सेज दैट सम स्कॉलर्स से दैट नेचर एंड सोसाइटी इज सेपरेट. सोशल प्रोडक्शन ऑफ क्या कहता है? सोसाइटी इज सेपरेट. नेचर, फॉरेस्ट, रिवर्स एक्सेट्रा. सोसाइटी में क्या आएगा आपका? पीपल, योर अर्बन एरियाज, सेंटर्स एक्सेट्रा, दीज आर सेपरेट. अब आप एक बात बताइए, डू यू रियली थिंक इट कैन बी सेपरेटेड? नो. For example, if I talk about the parks, if I talk about the zoological parks, so talk about the normal societal parks, do you think those have been created by the nature itself? No. Humans have intervened and created those parks. क्यों? ताकि humans can go and enjoy the scenic beauty of it. ठीक है? So humans have intervened. So can you just quickly separate them? No. Because always the environment will have an influence, because there is humans involved in that. There's interaction of the humans constantly going on, and humans being the very active part of it. Why? Because humans have the highest the IQ level, and then they can create something out of it because of their creativity, because of their curiosity, because of their innovation. They can always create something else. The moment they are creating something else, for example, if I talk about the landscape parks only, if I talk about the artificial marks, all of these are what? These are being created by the humans itself. So then scholars said that no, it is not possible. Other kind of scholars, they said that it's not possible to strictly separate them. ये possible ही नहीं है कि दोनों को separate कर दिया जाए, because strict separation कब होता है? जब दोनों का कोई involvement ना हो. अगर दोनों का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है तो डेफिनेटली क्या होगा? ये एक दूसरे के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट रहेंगे, एक दूसरे को इन्फ्लुएंस करेंगे. और अब देयर इज अ स्कॉलर इन दिस व्हिच कम्स इन, और वो बोलते हैं कि ह्यूमंस ने नेचर को एक्सप्लॉइट कर दिया है बिकॉज ऑफ देयर इंटरेस्ट, because they have the vested interest in the whole system of the nature, because the moment they are growing lot of crops out of it, they are making the money, they are getting the money out of it, they are making the countries making a revenue out of it, because they are sending it for the exports. Then if I am trying to convert the forest area into a timberland, basically I am producing what? Timber out of a forest, then I am getting what? Money out of it. I'm minting money. Then if I am converting any river, I'm taking advantage of a river. How I'm converting? I'm making the dams, and out of which I am getting the hydroelectrical projects. I'm setting up a hydroelectrical projects to produce generate the electricity. That is also one of the way of exploiting the nature. So in every way, human has tried to exploit the nature. In fact, renewable source of energy में जो sun की direct heat से आप जो electricity बना रहे हैं, वो भी क्या है? Your humans are taking the full advantage of the environment. Environment में ही है, right? They are taking the full advantage of all the natural aspects of the environment. And when it is happening, so they are saying that this humans, they are not outside, they are not existing outside of the nature, they are in fact the part of that reality, they are the part of it, the integral part of it. ठीक है, जब वो integral part है उसमें separate. तो Neil Smith क्या कहते हैं? Neil Smith says that this is done because they want to get the money out of it. They have the interest, vested interest, and that is being done because they have the capitalist mindset. फिर वही चीज आ जाएंगी, power, influence and money, social structures, etc. And because of that they are keep on changing it. ठीक है, तो अगर आपके पास एक क्वेश्चन है social, just write down this question for the assignment. What is the social production of nature? Write down this question. What is the social production of nature? And you can write down in your own terms. एक scholar के बारे में आपको अगर बताना होगा तो इसमें नील स्मिथ का नाम ऐड कर लीजिए. Just add the name of Neil Smith. Neil Smith. Neil Smith. Right? Done? Okay. अच्छा, अब हम आते हैं dichotomy और dualism. Let's understand this first and then we will write the explanation of it. Okay, what do you understand by dichotomy? Dichotomy का literal मतलब क्या होता है? Dualism का literal मतलब क्या होता है? Dicho means two, right? Dicho का मतलब होता है two. Tomy means your two branches, so difference. ठीक है? तो dichotomy का मतलब है that anything which has been created has a two branches, two ways of explaining it. For example, if I say physical geography, human geography, they are part of the geography, but they are distinct, right? Do you find a very strict separation between physical geography and the human geography? No strict separation. Why? Both are interrelated. How they interrelated? They're like, if I talk about geography, yes, they do. But what about the physical and the human geography? क्या ये बिल्कुल separate नहीं है? Physical geography is what? Reading about the landforms, reading about the topographical features of the area. Physical elements, right? What do you understand by human geography? The relationship of the humans with environment. ठीक है? What is dualism? Dualism is basically when you are trying to say that these two things are extremely separate. Extremely separate. उसमें कुछ वो हो ही नहीं सकता. For example, day and night. Simple language में समझते हैं. Day and night बिल्कुल separate है. कुछ ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको लगेगा mind and body separate है. ठीक है? Mind is what? Something you are thinking. Body is what you can see. It's a tangible thing. Mind, thinking is a intangible. बिल्कुल अलग है. ठीक है? So these are the things that you have to understand. What is the difference between the dichotomy and dualism, and what is relevance it's holding in the geography part? कुछ geography में इसका relevance होगा तभी तो dichotomy और dualism को include किया गया है, right? But उससे पहले we have to understand the dichotomy and dualism in a very general form. General पहले आप समझिए कि इसका general मतलब क्या है. Then you apply it in geography. So उससे क्या होगा? ज़्यादा समझ में आएगा, लिटरल मीनिंग भी समझ आएगा और ज्योग्राफिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी समझ आएगा. ठीक है? सबसे पहले डिफरेंस लिख के राइट डाउन. डिफरेंस बिटवीन डुअलिज्म एंड डाइकोटोमी इन ज्योग्राफी. डिफरेंस बिटवीन डुअलिज्म एंड डाइकोटोमी इन ज्योग्राफी लिखिए. द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ डुअलिज्म एंड डाइकोटोमी, द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ dualism and dichotomy is central to the geographical thought. central है. It's central to the geographical thought. Write down, comma, especially in human geography, comma, environmental geography, especially in human geography, comma, environmental geography, comma, political geography, comma, ecology, and critical geography, and critical geography. And critical geography, right down. First, although they are related, comma, they represent different levels of thinking. Although they are related, they represent different levels of thinking. Different levels of thinking. Although they are related, they represent different levels of thinking about the reality. About the reality. Although they are related, they represent different levels of thinking about the reality. Next, a dichotomy is a division of the reality. A dichotomy is the division of the reality. It is a division of the reality. Division of the reality means, if I'm talking about geography, सबसे example और relevant आपको यही लगेगा. Geography, then two parts, physical geography and, for example, areas. Areas are divided into urban areas and rural areas. So branches हो गई. These are more of a branches of the same thing. बात areas की ही हो रही है, but then we are dividing the areas into two parts. ठीक है? So write down. It's a division of reality into two categories, where dualism is the belief that these categories, whereas dualism is the belief that those categories are universally, comma, naturally, while dualism is the belief that the categories are universally, comma, naturally, comma, fundamentally, universally, comma, naturally, comma, fundamentally, and permanently separate. And permanently separate. Write down, understanding dichotomy. First we will write about, first we will understanding dichotomy. Write down, understanding dichotomy. लिखिए. A dichotomy refers to division of phenomena. A dichotomy refers to division of phenomena, comma, concept. A dichotomy refers to division of phenomena, comma, concept, दोनों को अंडरलाइन के डिवीजन ऑफ फिनोमेना कॉन्सेप्ट और रियलिटी इनटू टू कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग कैटेगरीज और realities into two contrasting categories और contrasting को क्या करेंगे अंडरलाइन contrasting होना चाहिए two contrasting categories. Next point. A dichotomy is therefore a method of classification. A dichotomy underline करेंगे is a method of classification. A dichotomy is therefore method of classification. Examples in geography, write down. Geographers use dichotomies such as geographers use dichotomy such as physical geography, human geography, physical geography / human geography. Physical geography / human geography. Next, urban rural, urban area, rural area, urban / rural areas. Next item, developed / developing, developed / developing, global / local, आपको समझ आ रहा है कि दोनों क्या है ब्रांचेस हैं. These are branches. Core plus periphery, nature society, core periphery. core क्या है मेन है, periphery क्या है उसके आसपास का एरिया, आउटस्कर्ट्स, तो core periphery. तो ये आप सारी आपकी क्या है ब्रांचेस. These all are your branches. These all are your branches. Right now, these divisions help scholar organize. These divisions, right now, these divisions help scholar organize. These divisions help scholar organize information. तब scholars का इसमें क्या फायदा है? That they can organize their information and categorize them and study them well. Right? Help scholars organize and classify them for better research and understand. जब कोई भी चीज क्लासिफाई हो जाती है तो आप उसको बेटर तरीके से पढ़ पाते हैं. अगर अलग अलग ग्रुप में क्लासिफाई हो जाते हैं, नोट बन जाता है, तो आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी बेटर हो जाता है. और इस पे आप क्या कर सकते हो, यू कैन कंडक्ट एनालिसिस, you can conduct analysis on this. ठीक है, true enough, right? Write down characteristics of dichotomy. क्या क्या characteristics हैं dichotomy का? Write down characteristics of dichotomy. पहला क्या characteristics है dichotomy का? What is the nature of dichotomy? What it is telling you? What it is telling you? It's analytical, right? Because you are trying to classify something. Definitely, अब research भी करेंगे. You will try to understand, collect the information. It is analytical, right? Dichotomy is a primary tool for understanding the reality. Dichotomies are primary tools. Analytical लिख लेंगे पहले, heading डालिए analytical. Dichotomies are primary tools for understanding they are primary tools for understanding the reality. Next, they simplify the complex problems. They simplify complicated and they simplify complex problems. They simplify complex problems. Next point, descriptive. They describe differences. Descriptive. Second है descriptive. They describe differences. आप इजीली क्या बता सकते हैं कि इन दोनों में क्या डिफरेंस है, ठीक है। जैसे अगर मैं बात करूंगी रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन ह्यूमन एंड एनवायरनमेंट, आप सीधा किस में डाल देंगे, ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी में डाल देंगे। अगर मैं बात करूंगी लैंड फॉर्म्स की, आप किस में डाल देंगे, सीधा फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी में डाल देंगे। यही चीज चाहिए। रीजनल ज्योग्राफी की किसी की बात कर रही हूँ, पर्टिकुलर टू इंडिया, तो आप इंडियन ज्योग्राफी में डाल देंगे। तो क्लासिफाई करने से क्या हुआ, आप ही को क्या मिला, पहले बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग मिला है, ठीक है। फ्लेक्स डिस्क्रिप्टिव, दे डिस्क्राइब डिफरेंसेस, राइट, अच्छे से डिस्क्राइब करते हैं डिफरेंसेस। नेक्स्ट राइट डाउन फ्लेक्सिबल, द बाउंड्री बिटवीन कैटेगरीज आर ब्लर्ड। व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय फ्लेक्सिबल? जैसे आपको भी मैंने कोई टॉपिक बोला है तो आप पूछते हैं मैम ये इसमें हम इसमें भी पढ़ेंगे। देयर आर सर्टेन टॉपिक्स, फॉर एग्जांपल क्लाइमेट, क्लाइमेट को आप इंडियन ज्योग्राफी में भी पढ़ते हैं, उसी पार्ट को आपको वहां पे भी पढ़ना पड़ता है फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी में, बिकॉज बोथ आर इंटररेटेड। अगर इंडियन क्लाइमेट को पढ़ना है आपको तो वर्ल्ड क्लाइमेट को समझना पहले जरूरी है, तभी आप इंडियन क्लाइमेट पढ़ पाएंगे। तो इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ अ यू आर ब्लरिंग द लाइन्स, राइट। सो द explanation could be blurred or the differences are little blurred sometimes, not always, okay. Write down the boundary between the categories are blurred. Keep on writing. The boundaries between the categories are blurred. Next लिखेंगे not necessarily oppositional. अब ये जरूरी नहीं है कि दोनों क्या हो, आमने सामने ऐसे ऑपोजिट्स ही खड़े हो, that might be a complementary also, ठीक है। write down not necessarily oppositional. Next point, not necessarily oppositional. The two categories may interact, they are not necessarily oppositional. The two categories may interact, coexist. The two categories may interact, comma, coexist and overlap. Overlap भी कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, and overlap, ठीक है, and overlap. Write down. For example, many places are neither fully urban. For example, many places are neither fully urban and rural. So there are certain towns, there are certain areas which are on the periphery of the core area, which are not fully developed as a city. Also, they are not fully getting out of the rural area. Also, so they are in midway. So this is blurring the lines, right? So write down. For example, many places are neither fully urban nor they are fully rural. They are peri-urban spaces. They are peri, P-E-R-I, peri, put a hyphen, then write down urban. They are peri-urban spaces. And this shows dichotomy remains useful even though and this shows dichotomy remains useful even though reality is complex. Even though reality is complex. Write down the question on dichotomy that you have to do now. Kareem. पढ़िए आप पार्ट पढ़िए जो मैंने आपको बोला है. Have you written that? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, this shows dichotomy remains useful even though reality is complex. Even though reality is complex. क्वेश्चन लिखिए, एनालिटिकल क्वेश्चन बहुत आते हैं इस पार्ट से. और प्लीज मेक श्योर यू आर डूइंग दिस डायकोटमी ड्यूअलिज्म वेरी नाइसली. पीवाईक्यू 2025 में भी इस पे पीवाई एक क्वेश्चन है, पीवाईक्यू है, उससे पहले भी बहुत बार पूछा गया है. डायकोटमी ड्यूअलिज्म से एवरी ईयर ऑलमोस्ट क्वेश्चन आते हैं. ठीक है, 25 में पूछा था मेंस में, अब जाके देख लेना एक बार. राइट डाउन. डिस्कस द रोल ऑफ एनालिटिकल क्वेश्चन से भी मैं आपको डिस्कस द रोल, सॉरी, अप्लाइड क्वेश्चन एनालिटिकल बोर्ड. डिस्कस द रोल ऑफ डायकोटोमस thinking. Discuss the role of dichotomous thinking in human decision making with the respect to environment. With respect to environment, what are its decision advantages and limitations? What are its decisions and limitations? What are its advantages and limitations? Write down. What is the dichotomy between environmental conservation? बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, लिखिए. What is the dichotomy between environmental conservation and economic development? Discuss. Discuss. Economic development. Discuss. And I'm expecting such type of questions only, rather than just telling you how to explain it. This question right now. In fact, I will tell you to do the second question first. Abhi karenge. Then I will explain you dualism. clearly formed intro, then body, all of that. And show me the answer. Quickly do it. 44 पे you started. I think time is up already. Yes. The time is up. Everyone, stop writing. दिखाइए. Just that you have reached to the intro. The economy refers to division of branch concept of phenomenon. Examples. That is what ये definition तो you can explain very nicely, बहुत easily. But जब applied question आता है तो you get blank because you're not prepared for it. Most of the questions are coming from these areas only, where they are trying to get more out. They are trying to get the understanding from you that how do you differentiate between them. अगर आपका इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट और एनवायरमेंटल कंसर्न्स में डिफरेंशिएट करना है तो कैसे करेंगे? ये तो डायकोटमी है, तो किस तरह से, हाउ विल डिस्कस, हाउ विल जस्टिफाई इट. ठीक है, ओके, ऑलराइट, नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं. वो एंड कंप्लीटेड लेटर ऑन, राइट? हाँ, स्पेस. नेक्स्ट साइड ऑन अंडरस्टैंडिंग डुअलिज्म. Now once you've understood dichotomy very easily, dualism आपके लिए easy हो जाएगा to understand. Dualism means that two realities, two things are quite different and opposing from each other. कोई भी तरीका नहीं है कि उनको क्या करा जाए. आप मतलब yes, you can form a relation between them, but otherwise they are quite separate entities. Right? जैसे फंडामेंटली डिफरेंट होंगे, ऑपोजिंग होंगे कॉन्सेप्ट, और क्या होगा उसमें, एक स्ट्रक्चर होगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने माइंड बॉडी का, डे नाइट का, आई हैव टोल्ड यू दीज आर कॉन्ट्रास्ट्स. दे आर टू डिफरेंट ऑपोजिंग realities, they are contrasts. So write down dualism is the belief that reality consists of, dualism is a belief that reality consists of fundamentally different, separate, consists of fundamentally different, separate, and opposing realities. And opposing realities. Next. Slash to click entities. Realities slash entities. They are consisting of opposing entities. Unlike dichotomy, comma, dualism is not merely, unlike dichotomy, dualism is not merely unlike dichotomy, dualism is not merely a way of classifying reality. A way of classifying reality. आप दो चीजों को क्या नहीं कर रहे हो, इट्स नॉट दैट माइंड एंड बॉडी आर द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ समथिंग, दे आर द एंटिटीज, दे आर द सेपरेटेड इटसेल्फ। ये कोई आपका ऐसा नहीं है कि ये दो किसी का ब्रांच है या कुछ है, नो, दे आर नॉट इवन ब्रांचेस, दे आर सेपरेट इन एवरी फॉर्म। जैसे ह्यूमंस को हम फिर भी कर देते हैं डिवाइड मेल एंड फीमेल, दीज आर द ब्रांचेस, ठीक है। सो इन दैट वे वी कैन डिवाइड इट, बट अदरवाइज नो चांस, ठीक है। अदरवाइज देयर इज नो, वो किसमें फॉल करेगा, जो मैंने बोला है वो डुअलिज्म में फॉल, वो डाइकोटोमी में फॉल करेगा। डुअलिज्म में क्या है, ब्रांचेस भी फॉर्म नहीं कर रहे हैं और बिल्कुल सेपरेट है, दे आर टू सेपरेट एंटिटीज, ठीक है, right, they can form relation in some sense, we do not know that, कुछ हो सकता है इसमें रिलेशन एग्जिस्ट हो, राइट ऑन, हाँ राइट, करेक्ट, इट इज अ थ्योरी अबाउट नेचर ऑफ रियलिटी, राइट ऑन, ये नेचुरली ही डिफरेंशिएट हुआ है, ठीक है। इट इज अ थ्योरी अबाउट नेचर ऑफ रियलिटी, इट इज अ थ्योरी अबाउट नेचर ऑफ रियलिटी itself, it is a theory about nature of reality itself. Dualism assumes that assume right on, first point, two entities are distinct, two entities are distinct, two entities are distinct. Second point, write down, they possess different essence, they possess different essence, they possess different essence. Next, they exist independently, they exist independently. They exist independently. Different essence, different essence. This is different. Two entities are distinct, they possess different essence, they exist independently. Next, one may be superior to other. One may be superior to other. Quote, one may be superior to one may be superior to other. Next, examples of dualism. Examples लिखेंगे. Examples of dualism लिखिए. According to Descartes, according to Descartes, according to Descartes, right on, mind is immaterial and body is material. According to Descartes, mind is immaterial and body is material. They are fundamentally different substances. They are fundamentally different substances. Next लिखेंगे nature society dualism. Nature society ड्यूअलिज्म क्या है? नेचर सोसाइटी ड्यूअलिज्म का मतलब नेचर में क्या क्या आ जाएगा आपको? ऑल सॉर्ट ऑफ एनवायरमेंट, योर फॉरेस्ट, रिवर, लेक्स, नेचर। सोसाइटी में अर्बन सेंटर्स, buildings, etc. Infra roads. Your all economy, politics. That can also, you can add on more examples. Economy, politics. These are the part who have created. Society has created. इस society का part है. Culture भी क्या है? You can add on more. Culture is also part of society. Society ने ही बनाया है, right? So dualism treats them as separate realm. ये कैसे separate करते हैं? Different entity. So you can write down they are treated as separate realm. इनको separate realm की तरह separate entities में देखा जाता है, ठीक है? Now we can talk about human nature dualism. What is this? Human nature dualism. Human को क्या first write down this, complete this. I'm giving you time. Write down first. Okay. So if you want to set an example for human nature dualism, वो कैसे करेंगे आप? Human nature dualism. What is that? Humans क्या है आपके? अलग, ठीक है? कैसे है? Rational है, logical है, right? Quick decision making. All of these aspects you can write about humans. ठीक है? Rational है, cultural है, superior है, cultural superior भी you can write. Cultural superior. But what about the society? What about the nature? Nature is having what? It is passive. Why? Because nature is not telling, nature is not talking, it's not coming in front. But humans are doing what? They are taking advantage of it. The passive, external, and inferior. Nature is what? Passive, external, and inferior. Okay, nature. So write down, according to this view, nature exists independently of human. Because you know dualism मान रहा है, कोई relationship नहीं set किया है. So according to them, nature exists independently of human. इस theory के हिसाब से, इस theory again I am talking about particular this theory, independently of society. Nature exists independently of society. Next point. Society exists independently of nature. Because दोनों तरीका है बताने का, this exists independent of this exists independent of that. So you have different ways of telling it. Society exists independent of nature. Then human acts upon nature from outside it. Human acts upon nature from outside it. अब critical geographers को क्या problem हुआ इससे? Critical geographers said that you cannot keep them separate. आप कैसे separate कर सकते हैं? दोनों ही interrelated हैं. If you see the today's scenario, can you say that humans, the society is existing independently of nature? No. Nature is an integral part of a human, the human life. Similarly, for the nature, also the interventions of humans keep on happening. So you cannot strictly separate them. जब इसको strictly separate नहीं कर पा रहे तो यही था क्या criticism of the geographer. यही बन गया criticism of the dualism. That You cannot say strictly that two things are independent. आपको लगता है कि mind और body independent है? No. Although it is said, dualism में यही बोला गया ना कि दोनों separate entities है, but they are interlinked. What is said that जब mind अच्छा होगा तो your body also works well. जब body अच्छी होगी तो mind works well. Basically ज्यादा क्या कहा जाता है, when you exercise more, when you walk more, your mind works better. It sharpens up. The retention power of the mind increases. Why it is said that? Because body से अगर ये two separate इतनी strict entities है, dualism क्या बोल रहा है? These are strict entities. These are strict separate entities. When they are strict separate entities, so the one, when I'm working on a body, then how can my mind work so sharply? Why the tension power of the brain is increasing? Because they are correlated. You cannot strictly say this is the criticism of the dualism. ये क्या बन गया? Dualism का criticism बन गया. Similarly, the nature and society cannot they cannot independently exist. They cannot they are correlated. They coexist, and one influences other, and that is quite evident. We can see it in our everyday life how they are dependent. अगर आप atmospheric, for example, environment की बात करते हैं, अगर आपका environment ही is not that clean, the environment getting polluted, your air is getting polluted, you'll be able to breathe? No. So environment is what? Nature, your society, your air, etc. That is your nature, part of a nature. Humans are getting affected due to that. They are in case if you see as a different thing, yes, they are separated in that way. But do you think it affects you? Yes, definitely. It influences. So human acts upon nature from outside it, right? So what critical geographers have to say? Write down. Okay. Forests are affected by logging policies. Forests are affected by logging policies. Government laws influences conservation. Government laws influences conservation. Next, local communities use forest resources. Local communities use forest resources. Next, climate change affects forest ecosystem. Climate change affects forest ecosystem. Thus, nature and society continuously shape each other. Thus, nature and society continuously shape each other. Example, Amazon rainforest is not simply a natural ecosystem. Amazon rainforest is not simply a natural ecosystem. Full stop. Its the condition is influenced by government policies. The condition is influenced by government policies, agricultural expansions, indigenous community, and global commodity markets. Commodity markets mean, global commodity means the one who are using the Amazon rainforest for their use. Do you think that Amazon rainforest has a lot of potential for producing the economic value? Yes. It's one of the densest forests. It is one of the forests which is highly populated with a lot of animals, variety of animals in fact. And when such things are happening, definitely, in fact, the bees, all of these, the manufacturing of bees, etc., when for the sugar cane, etc., these areas are quite popular. Why? Because when the densest forest is there, then you can also make a lot of money out of the natural resources. So humans are creating economic value out of these resources, right? So economic value बना रहे हैं तो क्या कर रहे हैं? They are exploiting it in some way. It is not that they are straight away use it in a very ethical manner. A lot of times they are not using it in a right manner. They're trying to overexploit it and they go and overreach their limits. When they're overreaching, what happens? It affects the environment in whole. So that is what it is said. Therefore, it cannot be said that Therefore, it cannot be understood through strict. Therefore, it cannot be understood through strict nature society dualism. So at one point you have said that both the things are different. They have the different entities. They are separate. They cannot. They are. It's very different from each other. And on other hand, you have also explained how these are influencing each other in the today's time. Okay, so this is what with respect to the dualism and dichotomy, right? Okay, एक छोटा सा point और I think we have covered majorly everything now. There is nothing left in this, but there is a small point that I want to add. Okay, with respect to human ecology, there could be a question on that since we are discussing the nature of society. So let's discuss that too. There is human ecology पे भी एक आपका एक question आ सकता है. I think they have seen such type of question also in many test series, etc. So what is the idea behind that? Well, this is also one of the thought. This is also one of the geography. So one expect this was developed in the critical revolution only. Just try to understand this. This is the revival of the human ecology which happens in 1960. Again, 1960s में क्या था? Critical revolution was starting getting popularized after the quantitative revolution. So the application of ecological concept to the study of relation between people and physical and social environment. So basically they highlighted that there is a relationship between the humans and the environment. So role किसका ज़्यादा बड़ा? The study of ecology. What is ecology? It is a unit of ecosystem. And what is an ecosystem? Yes. So basically when I am saying that yes, biotic and abiotic का interactions. अब ecology क्या हो जाता है? When I'm talking about the interaction in a particular area. अब उसी चीज को मैं पर्टिकुलर एरिया में लगा रही हूँ तो क्या हो जाएगा? वो इकोलॉजी हो जाएगा. एनवायरमेंट में क्या टू टर्म्स होती है? इकोसिस्टम, इकोलॉजी. इकोलॉजी का मतलब है when the relationship is being talked about in the particular area. इस पर्टिकुलर एरिया की बात हो रही है. So this is what the application of ecological concept is study of relation with people and physical and social environment. It was logical extension to the system of thought and techniques. So who talked about it? Contentions of Jones and Ear. So I'll EYRE, there are two scholars. If you want to write, सिर्फ notes में लिख लीजिए. EYRE, there are two scholars, EYRE and Jones, JONES, 1966. That human ecology, they started the concept. They started the study of ecology as a deliberate assault to, as a deliberate element means जानबूझ के, with intentions, with known intentions. They have given, they have assaulted, they have deliberate assault on the quantitative revolution. Okay. Or there was another person, there was another scholar with the name of Stoddard. STODDARD. Stoddard, STODDARD, attempted to remove or reconcile. Reconcile means what? To bring back to a normal state. To remove or reconcile the confusion by translation of human ecology or translation to human ecology into system analysis. Okay. So this is a small, very small detail. So you can write down about what is human ecology and why it was. Write down the question. What is human ecology and how did it got popularized in the critical revolution? And how did it popularized? How did it get popularized in the popularized in what? In the critical revolution. सिस्टम एनालिसिस मतलब ही ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन इट, ये उन्होंने ये बताया कि इट इज नॉट एन असॉल्ट टू द क्वांटिटेटिव रेवोल्यूशन, इट्स नॉट अबाउट दैट, इट्स बेसिकली ही इज ट्राइंग टू प्रूव इट दैट humans and society relationship is one of the fundamental part, integral part of the system. System analysis, you know, wherein we would buffer zones analysis, etc. So पढ़ा था system analysis, what you're trying to analyze a geographical area through the distribution, through the mapping, through the statistical model and mathematical models. तो आप वो चीजें समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं बिकॉज ह्यूमन एंड द नेचर इज रिलेशनशिप इज इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इट, यू कैन नॉट सेपरेट इट एंड टेल दिस इज जस्ट बिकॉज आपको क्वांटिटेटिव रेवोल्यूशन का सॉल्व करना है. नो, इट इज नॉट अबाउट दैट. इट इज जस्ट दैट क्वांटिटेटिव रेवोल्यूशन डिड नॉट इंक्लूड दीज पार्ट्स, so that's why it was highlighted. Okay, write down few points, लिख लीजिए, and you can try to make it in a answer form. ठीक है, just take the keywords, write down. During critical revolution in geography, during critical revolution in geography, geographers criticized traditional human ecology. थोड़ा जल्दी लिखेंगे सिर्फ keywords. During critical revolution in geography, comma, geography criticized traditional human ecology for sometimes treating environmental relationship as neutral. Do you remember we were taking the political instability as neutral a lot of times in lot of cases? तो हमने क्या बोला था कि no, it is a integral part, it should not be. ठीक है, as neutral and apolitical. Right on. Environmental problems are influenced by social, economic. Environmental problems are influenced by social, economic and political structures. कैसे environmental problem influence होती है? For example, एक example देती हूँ मैं आपको. अगर इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर्स आपके कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी है, मैक्सिमम प्रॉफिट, बार बार क्या करेंगे, उसी लैंड को यूज करेंगे टू गेट द मैक्सिमम प्रॉफिट. एग्रीकल्चर लैंड को हटा के क्या बना देंगे, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप बना देंगे बिकॉज यू वांट मोर प्रॉफिट्स. You will not try to put the conservation policies. Why? Because again, more profits. You will not try to conserve the environment. Why? Because you don't want to invest more, you want to just make more. Yes, maximize the profit. So हर केस में क्या है, हर एंगल से क्या है, they are trying to mint more money, right? And political structures. Why political structures are influencing, how they are influencing the environment? Yes, ownership of holding, yes, concentration of the wealth, etc. So power relation. Next, write down power relation inequality. Next point, power relation, comma, inequality and capitalism shape human environment relationships. Do you think that power inequality was there? Because they want to maximize what they did. They tried to make the workers work more. right? Isn't that was a kind of a inequality? Isn't that kind of exploitation which was done to a human, right? Exploitation क्यों हुआ? Because do you remember that indigo the workers working for the indigo in the plantation in country in India, in the colonial times? So what was that? They were using the environment to do what? To maximize their profit. So that was also kind of a relationship that they, not only they did bad to the environment, they also did bad to a human, because they were exploiting them to the level that if you see the working, आपने कभी देखा है कि किस तरह से बनता था इंडिगो, कैसे बनता था इंडिगो की स्टडीज में गए हैं कभी आप हिस्ट्री में? Yes, after the plantation of the indigo, we cannot use the land. You have to keep it like there for maximum amount of time, right? For the maximum time, you have to keep it like for a long period of time. You have to keep it there. Apart from that, if you see the condition of the humans also who are doing per worker also who is doing that, he's supposed to be half brown in that. एंड आप क्योंकि डाइंग का प्रोसेस इतना टिपिकल था कि उनको पूरा आधा डाउन होना पड़ता था, एंड देन ओनली ही बी एबल टू डू समथिंग, एंड पूरे दिन उनको खड़ा रहना पड़ता था उस टब के अंदर, उस चीज के अंदर. तो दिस इज द प्रोसेस, दिस इज हाउ द प्रोसेस वर्क्स. तो ये सब क्या था? ये कैपिटलिस्ट माइंडसेट ही था which is leading which was leading them to that extent that they are exploiting a human to that level. ठीक है? So environmental degradation, right on. Environmental degradation often affects different groups unequally. कैसे करता है? इसमें हम क्लासिक एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं स्मॉल आइलैंड डेवलपिंग स्टेट्स का. जब हमने UNFCCC किया था, कॉप के बारे में पढ़ा था, तो डू यू थिंक environmental degradation, environmental disadvantage is also keeping some section of the society poor? Yes. बिकॉज अगर आपके पास आपका बार बार फ्लड आता है किसी एरिया में, बार बार वॉल्केनोज आते हैं, अर्थक्वेक आता है, डू यू थिंक दैट पर्टिकुलर एरिया विल बी एबल टू गेट प्रोलिफरेट? नो. द मोमेंट दे विल पुट सम गुड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दैट विल बी क्विकली अफेक्टेड बाय द एनवायरमेंटल चेंजेस. अगर आपको पूरा टाइम ये डर है कि आपका आइलैंड सबमर्ज हो सकता है, डू यू थिंक द एरिया विल बी दैट डेवलप? बिकॉज नोबडी वुड वांट टू इन्वेस्ट इन दैट. विद बात आपको भी तो पता होगी, पूरे वर्ल्ड में पता होगी ना कि पर्टिकुलर आइलैंड इज क्वाइट वल्नरेबल, इट कैन गेट सबमर्ज. सो नोबडी वुड पुट मनी इनटू दैट. इन्वेस्टमेंट्स नहीं है, money they will not put. So what will happen to the people? Either they would migrate, right? If there is a possibility to migrate, definitely they will, and if there is no possibility to migrate, then they will suffer. So क्या ये environmental degradation is not creating a problem to humans? Yes. So how can you say that you have to be neutral? आप neutral हो ही नहीं सकते, because environment is a part of your. छोड़िए आप ये सब बातें. We discuss about the Delhi only. When the Delhi environment was getting bad in November, December because of because of stubble burning which was happening in Punjab and Haryana, people left Delhi at that point of time. They said that we won't be able to breathe here. It's becoming impossible to stay over here because we are not adaptable to such kind of polluted environment. So they moved out. They moved out to some other Himalayan states so that they can live peacefully. They can live without. They can have the fresh air, or permanently, or maybe they have mobilized for a time, for a while. But that is a different story altogether. But they were forced to move out. यही क्या है? अब आप उसको न्यूट्रल नहीं बोल सकते. आप ये नहीं बोल सकते न्यूट्रल है. इट्स एपॉलिटिकल. कोई न्यूट्रल तब होता है जब वो इफेक्ट नहीं कर रहा. द मोमेंट इट इज अफेक्टिंग यू, इट इज नॉट न्यूट्रल. इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द सिस्टम एनालिसिस. ठीक है? दैट इज द मीनिंग. Okay. Now start writing the remaining question which you have left. नहीं, I've given it to you ना. मैंने आपको दिया था ना. I'll get the photo stat. कल आप आओगे ना? I'll get a photo stat. Okay. So whenever you will come, I'll get a photo stat. I'll give you a photo stat of few minutes. Huh? Okay. When will you come then? Okay. Okay. Then we'll come back. When? Okay. So I'll get it approved. I'll get that.